Hello, this is Ron Climer, and I am here going over these problems in this book, Modern Real Estate Practice in North Carolina, to help you pass your North Carolina real estate exam. If you need to reach me, I'm at ronclimer@yahoo.com. Phone number is 828-440-1064. And we're going over questions 11 through 15 on page 750 in the book. And we're just going over these questions just to help you. Some of them are easy, some of them are not. But the first one, the 11th one, is a commission question. And it says, two real estate brokers split the 6% commission on a $73,000 house. The selling salesperson was paid 70% of the broker's share. The listing salesperson was paid 30% of her broker's share. How much did the listing salesperson receive? Well, that's a commission problem. Most of you probably knew how to do this before you ever came to real estate school. But $73,000 at 6%. So 6% looks like that. So 73,000 times 6%. So let's try it with the calculator. 73,000 times 0.06. And my calculator says that the total commission is $4,380. $4,380 is the total commission. Now, it doesn't tell us in the question that they split the commission 50-50. And unless it tells us otherwise, that's the most reasonable assumption. So I presume that they do split it 50-50. So half the commission is listing commission and half the commission is selling commission. Well, half of 4,380, let's divide that by 2, is $2,190 going into the listing office, $2,190 going into the selling office. Now the question says, how much did the listing salesperson make? Now the listing salesperson is getting 30% of the broker's share. So the salesperson is getting that number there times 0.30. So $2,190 times 0.30, and my calculator says that their check is going to be $657. $657 is the answer to that, which is choice A. And now the question didn't ask how much is the selling salesperson commission, but if it did, they would be getting 70% of what came into their office. I think they made a better deal with their broker than that listing agent, but that's another story. So the question didn't ask that, but if it did, they would be getting a check for $1,533. But the answer to the question is $657. Everybody with me on that? If you're not, go back and watch it again. That one looks pretty simple to me. Now the next one, the next question is another one of those area questions. Area equals length times width, because the question says find the number of square feet in a lot with a frontage of 75 feet 6 inches and a depth of 140 feet 9 inches. Whew. That's some precise measurements, wouldn't you agree? So the frontage is 75 feet and 6 inches, and the length is 140 feet 9 inches. So the formula, y'all remember this, area equals length times width. But what we got to do is convert these inches into decimal fraction of a feet. Well, so our width is 75 feet and 6 inches. Let's turn 6 inches into a decimal fraction, 6 over 12, because there's 12 inches in a foot. And so 6 divided by 12, so 6 inches is 0.5 feet. So our width is 75.5 feet. Now our length is 149 inches. So let's turn that 9 inches into a decimal fraction. That's 9 divided by 12. 9 divided by 12. And the calculator says 0.75. So this is 0.75. This is 0.5. And so the 140.75 feet times 75.5 feet. So let's see. The calculator says 140.75 times 75.5, and I've got, let's see, and I've got 10,626.6 square feet. Let's see if that's one of the choices. And yes, it is. Actually 0.625, which they rounded off to 6.3. And that is the correct answer to compute that one. And that's some pretty precise measurements. Now, question 13. Question 13 says you're going to appraise a 28-unit apartment house. You're going to use the income capitalization approach. You discover that each unit rents for $775 per month, and for the past 5 years, the annual expenses have been $82,460. The complex has a vacancy rate of 5%. So Mr. Investor wants a 9.5% return on his investment, or capitalization rate. And so the question is, what is the value? What is the value? Now, let me remind you, and I assume that you already know this, but the formula is value equals I over R. The R being the capitalization rate, which in this case is given in the question. 0.95 or 9.5%, 9.5%. And so that is the capitalization rate. Now the income, the I in this formula stands for net income, net annual income. So in order to compute the net annual income, we have to remember we have the potential gross income minus vacancy and collection equals effective gross income minus expenses equals the net operating income. And it's the net income that goes in the formula, the net annual income. All right, well, we got enough information to figure that out. Let's see. We got 28 apartments, and they rent for $775 per month. So that is $21,700 per month times 12 months a year is $260,400. That is the potential gross income. That's the potential gross income. Now, our vacancy and collection, given in the question, is 5%. So that's 5% that ain't never coming in the front door. And that is $13,020. So $13,020 is never going to come in the front door. Well, let's see if that's true. Let me start back over with the $260,400 minus $13,020 equals $247,380. And that's called the effective gross income. Now, we also have expenses which are given in the question. Now, sometimes they're given as a percentage, but in this case, they're just given as a dollar amount. And they are $82,460. All right, so that's $82,000 for the taxes, the maintenance, keep the pool blue, all the things that go along with owning a 28-unit apartment building. So we're going to take the $247,380, and we're going to subtract from that $82,460. Whoops, I don't think I did that right. Let me try it again. $247,380 minus $82,460, and my calculator says $164,920. So if you own this apartment building, this 28-unit apartment building, it would pay you, after all your expenses, $164,920. And that number goes here in the formula, $164,920. So the formula is, and I'm going to erase some of this just so we don't get confused here. So the formula is value equals I, net income, over R, capitalization rate, given in the question. All right, let's do that arithmetic. 164,920 divided by 0.095, and my calculator says this building is worth $1,736,000. So if you had your $1,736,000 sitting in the BANK, paying you 1% a year, you took it out and bought this apartment complex, you'd be getting a lot more return on your investment. And that's the reason that people buy real estate. And that is choice number C in your book there. So that is the answer to that. And if you got any questions, just run back through that again. That's the cool thing about videotape. You don't need to raise your hand. You just fire it back up. Value equals income divided by capitalization rate. Okay, let's move on down to question 14, and it says, how much interest would the seller owe the buyer for the closing date of August 10th if the outstanding loan balance is $43,580? Now the interest rate on this assumable loan is 10.5%. I don't know anybody would want to assume that, but it says in the question they do. and the last payment was paid on August the 1st. Prorations are to be done through the day of closing using a statutory year. Well, now, by the way, you guys will probably never even do a loan with an assumable loan. This is kind of obsolete information, but you know, if you're sitting there taking the state exam, you can't mark, oh, this information's obsolete. But when one person buys a house from another and they take over the old mortgage, well, the interest is due every day. So just like the taxes, just like the HOA, just like any other ongoing fee, we prorate it. Now, I assume most of y'all know this, but if you don't, just accept it. Most of the time, almost always, just about every time, interest is paid in arrears. If you have a mortgage payment, like I have a mortgage payment, and here we are on August the 10th. So if it's August the 10th, the seller has owned the property for 10 days in August. He owes that interest, but he can't pay that interest until the 1st of the month. When the buyer makes the payment on September the 1st, he will pay the interest for the entire month. He'll pay the interest for the entire month. And so we prorate it, and the seller turns that money over to the buyer. Y'all remember, that's a debit to, credit to. Now in this case, the seller's going to be turning the money over. So that's a debit to the seller, frowny face, credit to the buyer, smiley face. So seller's going to be turning the money over to the buyer. All right, well, let's figure out how much money we're talking about here. And here's the answer. The mortgage is $43,580 at 10.5% interest. That's 10.5%. We move the decimal over 2 places, and it looks like that. So 43,580 times 0.105. All right, let's see. 43,580 times 0.105 equals $4,575.90. $4,575.90 is the annual interest. Well, we pay interest usually, and in this question, by the month. So we're going to divide that by 12 months. And this month, the interest is $381.32 or 3 cents, depending on how you round. Actually, I'm not going to round. I'm going to leave it in the calculator. So that is $381. $381 and that much cents. Now it says to use the statutory year. What does that mean? That means there's 12 months a year, and they all have 30 days. So all the months have 30 days, including August. So we're going to divide this by 30 days, and the daily interest is 381 divided by 30 days. So that is $12.71 per day. Now, how many days has the seller owned the property in August? Well, it says to prorate through the 10th. So the seller has owned the property 10 days in August. So let's times this by 10 days. And my calculator says $127. My calculator says $127.10. or 11 cents. Now, that's $127.11 that the seller owes to the buyer. Debit to the seller, credit to the buyer. Now, does it ask you that in the question? Because they already questioned, it says how much will the seller owe the buyer? Debit, seller, credit, buyer. So $127.11. Yes. And that's question 14. Let's take a look at question 15. It says Mr. Buyer has agreed to pay $175,000 sale price, and he's agreed to pay 2.5 loan discount points and a 1% origination fee. Now it says if the buyer receives a 90% loan to value ratio, how much will they owe at closing for discount points and origination fee? All right, and so let's take a look at this situation. So he's paying $175,000 for the house. Is that right? Now it says he's getting a 90% loan to value. That means the bank is loaning him 90% of the value of the house. All right? Let's do that arithmetic. 175,000 times 0.90 is he's getting a loan for $157,500. So he's getting a loan for this much here. All right, so that is the loan amount. Now he's got to pay 2.5 discount points. Now that's 2.5%. We're going to move the decimal over 2 places, and 2.5 discount points looks like that. 157,500 times 0.05. All right, 0.05, and my calculator says that is $3,937.50. So he is paying that in discount points, plus he is also paying 1% or 1 point origination fee. How does it express that? It expresses it at 1%. Well, 1%, I don't need a calculator, but I'll use one anyway. $157,500 times 0.01. My calculator says $1,575. So we're going to add those two numbers together, $1,575 and $3,937.50, and that comes to $5,512.50 paid to the mortgage company. That's going to show up on the closing statement as a debit to the buyer if he's the one that's paying it, which it says in the problem that he is. So that's questions 11 through 15. I hope you've learned a little bit, and we'll come back tomorrow and do a few more. Thank you.